How did ancient armies, shrouded in toxic fumes, where history's first known chemical attack silenced screams and turned flesh to ash? How did ancient armies, without the sophisticated chemistry of our modern age, unleash such unthinkable horror? And what dark ingenuity led to this devastating and chilling innovation? These are the questions that arise from the forgotten pages of history, echoing through the millennia from a place where the past refuses to remain silent. We are about to delve into one of history's most profound and disturbing enigmas, a story that never made it into the conventional history books, unearthed from the dust of centuries. The year is 256 AD. The world was a mosaic of empires, constantly vying for dominance, and on its volatile frontiers, civilizations clashed in relentless struggles for survival and supremacy. On the eastern fringes of the mighty Roman Empire, a vital outpost stood defiant, the frontier city of Dura-Europos. Situated strategically on the Euphrates River, Dura-Europos was more than just a military garrison. It was a cultural crossroads, a vibrant testament to Roman power and influence in a contested land. But its very importance made it a prime target. For months, this formidable city endured the relentless onslaught of the Sasanian Persian Empire, a rival power whose might was legendary, whose ambitions were boundless, and whose military tactics were both innovative and ruthless. Siege warfare was a brutal, drawn-out affair in the ancient world, a test of endurance, resourcefulness, and sheer will. Armies employed an array of methods to breach city defenses: battering rams, siege towers, and the painstaking, dangerous work of tunneling beneath formidable walls. This latter tactic, while common, demanded immense skill and courage. Engineers and soldiers would burrow deep underground, aiming to collapse sections of the enemy's fortifications from below, or to create a clandestine entry point into the besieged city. It was a perilous task, often met with countermining efforts from the defenders, resulting in fierce, claustrophobic subterranean battles. But what the Sasanian engineers planned for one particular tunnel beneath Dura-Europos was anything but common. It was a dark innovation that would etch a horrifying chapter into the annals of ancient warfare. For centuries, the Earth held its secrets, concealing the harrowing truth of what transpired within those subterranean passages. Then, almost 2 millennia later, in the 1920s, the sands of time began to shift. Archaeological excavations at Dura-Europos commenced, slowly peeling back layers of history, revealing the ruins of a city long lost to memory. Amidst the uncovered remnants of walls, buildings, and artifacts, the archaeologists made a grim, unsettling discovery within a collapsed mineshaft. It was a tableau frozen in time, a scene of profound tragedy and terror that offered a silent, chilling testimony to the siege's final moments. They unearthed the skeletal remains of 20 Roman soldiers and 1 Sasanian warrior. These ancient combatants were found exactly where they fell, their bones preserving the posture of their final terrifying moments, locked in an embrace with death in the confined, suffocating darkness beneath the earth. Initial interpretations of this macabre scene gravitated toward the most apparent explanations. Perhaps a sudden catastrophic cave-in had trapped and crushed both sides indiscriminately, or perhaps a brutal, desperate hand-to-hand combat had erupted in the darkness, leaving no survivors. These theories, while plausible on the surface, did not fully account for the precise positioning of the remains, nor the environmental context of their discovery. There was an unsettling detail, a lingering ambiguity that hinted at a far more sinister truth, something beyond the conventional horrors of ancient battle. The dust of centuries had not entirely obscured the echoes of this terrifying event, and as scientific understanding advanced, new questions began to emerge from the silent testimony of these ancient bones. It would take decades and the application of cutting-edge forensic analysis to truly begin to unravel the chilling mystery entombed within that collapsed mineshaft. Recent breakthroughs, particularly by Simon James of the University of Leicester, have illuminated a truly calculated and terrifying possibility. His meticulous examination of the skeletal remains, combined with an exhaustive analysis of the environmental conditions within the tunnel, has led to a startling and profoundly disturbing theory. This was not a simple cave-in, nor merely a desperate melee. This was a calculated chemical assault, a premeditated act of unprecedented brutality and ingenious, albeit dark, innovation. The theory posits a meticulously planned and executed operation by the Sasanian Persians. According to this compelling hypothesis, the Persian attackers, after breaching the Roman countermine tunnel, did not immediately engage in close-quarters combat. Instead, with a chilling understanding of rudimentary chemistry and the destructive potential of certain naturally occurring substances, they ignited sulfur crystals and bitumen within the enclosed space of the mineshaft. This deliberate act would have rapidly transformed the confined tunnel into a death trap, unleashing choking clouds of toxic gases. The combination of burning sulfur and bitumen would have produced two particularly lethal compounds, sulfur dioxide and hydrogen sulfide. Sulfur dioxide, a colorless gas with a pungent, suffocating odor, is a powerful respiratory irritant. In high concentrations, it causes severe damage to the lungs, leading to choking, asphyxiation, and rapid death. Hydrogen sulfide, on the other hand, is even more insidious. Known for its characteristic rotten egg smell at low concentrations, it quickly paralyzes the sense of smell at higher lethal levels, making it impossible to detect. This gas is a potent cellular poison, disrupting the body's ability to use oxygen, leading to rapid unconsciousness, organ failure, and death. Trapped in the darkness, deep beneath the earth, the Roman soldiers would have had no escape, no refuge from this unseen, airborne enemy. The first chemical weapon theory suggests that they quickly succumbed to the toxic gas, their lives snuffed out not by blade or spear, but by a suffocating, invisible killer. The Sasanian warrior found among the Roman dead could have been a perpetrator caught in the backdraft, or perhaps a scout venturing too close, falling victim to his own side's horrific weapon. This theory radically reshapes our understanding of ancient warfare, pushing the boundaries of what was thought possible in terms of military technology and strategy during that era. It speaks to a level of calculated cruelty and ingenuity that we often associate only with much later periods of human conflict. The idea that an ancient army, without advanced chemical knowledge or industrial processes, could conceive and deploy such a devastating weapon is truly astonishing, a testament to humanity's capacity for innovation even in its darkest endeavors. It reveals a forgotten chapter of history where the concept of chemical warfare was born, not in the trenches of the 20th century, but in the suffocating darkness of a Roman mineshaft nearly 2 millennia ago. However, as with many unsolved enigmas from the distant past, the narrative is not without its alternative interpretations and academic debates. While the chemical weapon theory presents a powerful and scientifically supported explanation, some historians and scholars propose alternative scenarios, inviting us to consider the complexities of historical evidence. One perspective suggests that the Sasanian warrior, rather than being a casualty of his own chemical attack, might have been a scout, perhaps sent to assess the Roman countermining efforts, who was then killed by the Roman defenders in fierce close-quarters combat before the mine's eventual collapse. In this scenario, the collapse could have been accidental, perhaps triggered by the ongoing tunneling operations or the battle itself, rather than a deliberate act of chemical warfare. Another scenario posits that while fire and smoke were indeed used, their primary purpose might have been disorientation and disruption rather than lethal chemical warfare. Ancient armies frequently used smoke to blind, disorient, and choke defenders during sieges, forcing them from their positions or creating confusion. In this context, the ignition of sulfur and bitumen might have been intended as a powerful, disorienting smokescreen to drive the Romans out of the tunnel or to cover a Persian advance, with the lethal gas effects being an unintended though horrific consequence. The distinction between using smoke for tactical disorientation and deploying it as a chemical weapon for mass casualty is subtle but significant in historical interpretation, focusing on intent. A third, nuanced perspective considers the profound psychological impact of such an experience, regardless of the precise intent behind the deployment of these materials. Even if the Sasanian Persians did not explicitly design the sulfur and bitumen burning as a chemical weapon in the modern sense, that is, with the primary and sole intent of mass chemical poisoning, the horrific experience of toxic smoke and suffocating fumes would have been an incredibly potent deterrent. Imagine the terror, the sheer panic of being trapped underground, assaulted by an invisible enemy that burned your lungs and stole your breath. The survivors, if any, or those who merely heard of such an event, would be profoundly traumatized, spreading tales of the unseen horrors unleashed by the Sasanian engineers. Such an event would serve as a powerful warning against countermining efforts, instilling fear and breaking morale, thereby making it a form of psychological warfare, even if unintended as a direct lethal chemical assault. The very ambiguity surrounding the intent only adds to the chilling legacy of Dura-Europos. The precise intent and the immediate cause of death for those 20 Roman soldiers and the single Sasanian warrior thus remain subjects of intense academic debate. Was it a premeditated act of chemical warfare, a pioneering and brutal innovation that redefined the savagery of siegecraft? Or was it a tragic accident, a desperate tactical maneuver gone terribly wrong, or an act of psychological intimidation with unforeseen lethal consequences? The evidence, while compelling, allows for multiple interpretations, keeping the story of Dura-Europos firmly entrenched as one of history's most fascinating and unsettling enigmas. At Echoes of Time, our journey is one of unearthing such forgotten pages, revealing the secrets that lie under the dust of centuries, and telling the stories that never quite made it into the mainstream history books. The ruins of Dura-Europos, with its silent, skeletal witnesses, offer a stark reminder of the brutality and ingenuity of ancient warfare, an insight into the depths of human conflict and the surprising sophistication of ancient militaries. It challenges our preconceived notions of when and how certain technologies and tactics emerged, forcing us to reconsider the timeline of human innovation, even in its most destructive forms. This chilling tale is more than just an archaeological discovery. It is a profound historical exploration, a testament to the enduring power of the past to shock and inform our understanding of the present. As we delve into these ancient discoveries, piecing together the evidence to unravel such chilling tales, we are reminded that history is rarely as straightforward as it appears in textbooks. It is a tapestry woven with threads of known facts, tantalizing hints, and unresolved questions. The story of Dura-Europos, the Roman frontier city, the mighty Sasanian Empire, and the trapped soldiers within that subterranean death trap stands as a stark monument to humanity's capacity for both resilience and relentless innovation in the face of conflict. It is a journey through the ages, where every discovery is an echo of humanity's great history, and sometimes those echoes whisper of unimaginable horrors. What does this ancient, forgotten siege, with its potential unleashing of history's first chemical weapon, truly tell us about the unchanging nature of warfare and the relentless, often dark, ingenuity of humanity throughout the ages?